for me now going forward. Today, I'll be talking about the very delicate balance between the core principles of technical communication and, of course, the ever evolving demands of the future. But before I continue, I actually love stories. So I have a story that I actually wanted to share with you all. This is a story by Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, and I still remember this story, even though I learned this or I heard this in my sixth standard. It was from a Telugu textbook. Yes, I know Telugu. I was here, and I went through. I was a Telugu medium student, so yes, I mean Telugu was definitely an integral part of my life. So this story also continues to be my driving force, and I thought this story fits in this whole topic a lot better than any other piece of information that I put together on the slides. So the story starts with a woodcutter who basically is entering a forest to gather some wood, and on his way he meets an holy man who just simply says, "Son, keep going," and then he moves off. The woodcutter couldn't actually recollect what's going on. He didn't take those words seriously. He just went ahead and started doing his work. But those words kept bothering him. He couldn't understand the true meaning of that advice and what he meant. So a few days later, when he was preparing to go back into the forest, um, he thought, okay, there's no harm in going ahead and see what happens. So he ventured deeper into the forest, and he was delighted because he found countless sandalwood trees there. And there was this opportunity. He seized it. He, cut down some of them, transported the precious wood to the market, and he made a huge profit that day. Well, it was good. He continued to go to that deeper part of the forest and, continued to, earn profits. And suddenly the same words occurred to him again. And he said, okay, let me go a little further. On this occasion, he found silver lying around the banks of the river in that forest, and it was really abundant. So he couldn't even dream of laying his hands on such a fortune. He began trading in silver, and now he was a very rich man. Well, life was very comfortable. He could have stopped there, but then the words still, kept coming back to him. And so this time he ventured out again and he crossed the river. He struck gold. A few days later, he went further ahead and then he found precious gemstones. Now, the moral of the story, I don't know what happened later because the story that did end there. But to me, at that point of time, the moral that was told was like, go ahead, take a leap of faith, move further ahead, and you will discover better things. Okay. And today we basically are discussing the same thing. For those who have actually been into this field for a couple of years now would relate to this story a lot better. Now, in my 20 years of career as a technical communicator, I have worked on multiple projects, multiple tools, and each one of these projects was definitely challenging than other. To me, this story, since it was a driving force, each challenge was an opportunity. It was moving ahead, keep going further. And then this opportunity helped me grow my skills and thereby grow both personally and professionally. And today I'm actually trying to present all of this and all these details because I strongly believe the more I share, the more I gain. Okay. um, we'll start. I would actually, let's get started and spend a few minutes about discussing the very core principles of, that have been the foundation of technical communication all for decades, and they will continue to be, there for many more decades to come. I personally call it the bread and butter because that's what we basically do 80% of our time. And to basically help you further with what I'm trying to, when I'm talking about the core principles. I picked up the Indian Space Research Organization as an example. That'll be interesting. So let's see. Okay, so to me, what I've learned is there are three core principles of technical communication, and they continue to be with me even till this date, and till the time I'll be in this domain, and continue to be a technical communicator. One of them is clarity, the most important one, precision and accuracy. Everything else comes around it. Now, to me, let me quickly, open this slide here. So I downloaded the Chandrayaan 3 brochure from ISRO website, and I'll actually relate to these 3 points here from their brochure. Now, when you and I look at this mission, I was excited. I was stuck to television the day when the rover was about to land on the moon. Everyone else, I'm sure, was. But then, we were constantly getting information. We were being told what is happening. What went in on that mission. What was the rover doing? How is it moving ahead? Now, the brochure to me is an excellent example of okay, excellent example of information that is clear, that has a lot of clarity, and ISRO has mastered this principle. I mean, it has used this in various missions, Chandrayaan 3 being the latest one. During Chandrayaan 3 mission, if you have followed it, ISRO was very clear and concise, with its updates, whether it was press release, whether it was social media, the live broadcast. They just used very straightforward language. You could read it, you could relate to it, even if you're not a scientist, even if you're not an engineer, you would know what is happening there. Now, that is the clarity. That's the clarity we would expect, anyone would expect, in a document that they pick up. Okay. So everything that you read through this, you'll be able to get a lot of understanding of what was happening there. Then, let's move on to the next one, the precision part. Again, going back to ISRO, the precision was, it was evident in all the details there. Look into the mission parameters, look into the scientific data, that they provided. Everything was documented meticulously, right from, launch parameters to the spacecraft, orbit insertion, to demonstrating, precision in both their calculations and communication. Look at it. I mean, the brochure is an excellent piece of work. You can just pick it up, read through it, and you'll get a complete understanding, including, when I gave this brochure to my daughter. She's in sixth standard, and she had to write about the lunar mission. It just worked out. I mean, she was able to read through it. She was able to basically understand what was going on, and that's exactly what we expect in our documentation, irrespective of fact who the audience is, basic, intermediate, or advanced. It should cater to all the audience categories. Now, finally, the accuracy part. Now, that's again, whether it's the technical accuracy or the editorial accuracy, making it perfect is the last stage of one of those core principles of technical communication. Look at this document again. You would not find a single mistake, or a number that is not, that's not used, or that's probably not a part of that mission. It was technically accurate. You could read through it, you could make sense out of it. So how did ISRO get to this, and why is it that we still continue to see these issues in most of the help documentation? Right. The answer is that ISRO has a very good audience consideration. It basically excels in identifying those diverse backgrounds of its audience. many a times, as technical communicators, we are not connected to our external audiences. But do we really put that effort to understand who our external audiences are? Do we actually go ahead and, interview some of our internal audiences? That could be the testers, that could be, the field application engineers. Do we, spend time, go and talk to them and understand what are the pain points that they see in a documentation, and how can you basically, improve your help documentation further? Now, this sets the groundwork to, the my next slide, which is shifting. I'm sorry about this. Let me just see. Okay. Oops. Sorry. Sorry. Okay. So this basically sets up the groundwork to what we can actually do to basically address those problems. If we are not, if you're doing it, great. If you guys are doing it, if anyone's doing it, awesome. But if you're not, then I just thought maybe I could actually, put these details here on the slide, because today, my slides, my talk is all about striking that balance. I'm not expecting you guys to leave that core principles out there. I mean, those definitely, stay there. But with, with those core principles, adhering to those core principles, how can you leverage what is available today? What is this excellent, chat GPT or AI and all the other stuff that we have today, and how can you strike that balance? Okay, at any given point of time, 80% you would continue to be working on documentation, but then I would expect you to spend your other 20% in exploring these excellent, initiatives, and tools and technologies, and see how you can bring in that balancing act, how you can strike that balancing act. So for this session, I would like to keep it short. I've identified a you know, couple of areas that basically I would expect a technical communicator to pay some attention to, so that he can take his or her work, his or her deliverable to that next level. Okay, the whole balancing act. The first one being the interactive documentation. Okay, now our documents have been, they evolved from Notepad to Microsoft Word document, and then they moved on to FrameMaker. Now, I remember working on Syntax Serna, which was somewhere, the initial forms of Oxygen XML, ArborText, and then Oxygen XML. And now I'm seeing a different tool coming up in the market, and it continues to evolve. So the way we are writing information definitely has evolved. However, what actually went in the document continues to stay the same. It's still monotonous. It's still like, oh, open, read for yourself. Oh, okay. It's all paragraphs, it's all graphics, it's all tables there. Okay, can we do something better about it? Can we bring some interactivity, amongst our documentation? And one good example of interactivity is Stripe docs. I don't know how many of you have heard about Stripe, but this is it basically helps you have credit card payments or online payments added to your web domains, or when you actually have an online business and you want to basically have the credit card and transactions, financial transactions added to your site. Stripe basically helps you get that done. They have some ready-made stuff. But if you actually, if you go and look into their documentation, they just don't tell you uh, what the documentation is just like. They basically take you through the whole steps, right? I mean, they basically tell you, okay, here's the code. Go ahead and try it. Okay, so you basically are not just reading information here. You can actually download the full app. You can set up the server based on where you want to set it up. What are you basically doing here? So some kind of interactivity. I mean, it's not just read through. You have various SDKs, the various architectures here, various front ends, various back ends to select, and just click on it, and now your code automatically changes to that specific front end that you've just selected. Okay, so a lot of interactivity, a lot of openness, a lot of configuration that you can actually see, and then the code changes right in front of you, and you can download that updated code based on certain parameters here. So do you actually see this? So you basically have color settings here. You select this color and your code automatically changes to the color that you just selected. So a lot of interactivity happening here. You're not telling customer how to do it, but you're actually giving him a way to do things. How cool is that? Right? So they've actually evolved their documentation from just being paragraphs and graphics and images and tables and references to interactive, to basically help customers get what they need, configure it right while they're reading the information, take it and move on. Okay, no, imagine the amount of the reduction in tech support calls, when you actually have a help like this. Well, that's interactive. I felt that was a great example for interactive documentation. I have it bookmarked, and I thought I'll actually share this bookmark with you all. And then moving further on, I think our content, things are evolving. I mean, Ganesh just showed you how ChatGPT basically identifies what you need, and then it gives you information based on what you need, rather than just giving you information because you as technical communicator thought that was the best thing to give to customers. Okay, so we need more adaptive content. The example here on the screen that I have here is when you are using that information on a laptop, the instruction should change to click a button. But when the same information is accessed over a tablet, the information should say tap, a button. And then when you're using the same information when you're driving, maybe, GPS or your Android Auto, it should probably say select, something. So it's the same information, but then a couple of words get adapted because of the frame, the device you're looking at, as well as the work that you're basically doing on that device. Okay, now adaptive content can be in certain context can also be confused with intelligent content or responsive content, because we have some websites which basically change their look and feel based on which device you access them on. I mean, HTML5 is a great example. Oxygen Web Help is HTML5 based help deliverable. It kind of like, the minute you're looking at it from your mobile phone, it looks different. In a tablet, it looks different. On a laptop, it looks different. Now, that's responsive content, okay, because it's just changing the interface. The content itself is not changing. It's just the layout that's changing. But what we need is more adaptive content. And you can reach out to an adaptive content only when you actually have, understanding of what the user is expecting. This is where the AI driven chatbots come into picture, where they ask you questions, where they probe further, and and then you basically and then it actually tries to do some work in the background and gives you information. So what Ganesh showed you, the content gem chatbot that he showed you is a good example of how content can be adaptive. And yes, this is gonna be the market. This is gonna be the place where you will see more and more of such adaptive contents coming out in the market. So better be prepared. I provided a cross reference to an excellent article which basically gives clear information on what this adaptive content is all about. It's an article written way back in 2016, so it's not a new concept. It has been there mostly, theoretically, there have been a lot of papers written on it, but now we are seeing it live. We are actually experiencing it. The third format that I feel, one we should actually be start thinking towards is, and again, all of this depends on depends on various factors like the domain you're working on, the kind of user, or the audience that you're basically catering to, your corporate, guidelines and so on. So at any given point of time, you'll not be able to implement all of this in your help structure, you'll actually have to do a lot of work, research, talk to your stakeholders, and see what of which of these new cool things in help documentation could actually best fit in your work deliverables. So another example here is gamification. I mean, it's I love games. I mean, but and it would be great to basically learn something while playing games. While answering a trivia, and learning data basically does that, right? I'm not sure how many of you have actually gone through this, but this is an excellent website to learn data. I kind of like keep going to it, take this courses. It is free of cost. You don't have to pay a penny. And the course list is right up front here. You can just right away go ahead and start taking your course. Let me click on Introduction to Data here, and I'll show you what I mean by gamification. So do you see this? The course content is not right up on your, up front on the screen. It's not showing you paragraphs and images and all that stuff. It's basically, it's basically telling you what the information is like, what the content is gonna be like, and it also has assessment at the end. So while you're reading, it actually is tracking your learning. It's a checklist kind of an approach, and then you have an assessment which basically helps you be confident on what you've actually learned. It basically is like you testing yourself and answering those questions. Trust me, it's really fun. You should go ahead and give it a try. This is an excellent example of gamification.
We have 5 more minutes, Saman. Yeah, just
Sure.
yeah.
Okay. And then I have these other stuff as well. We have augmented and virtual reality. Apple is coming up with Vision Pro, and it has an excellent documentation. I provided a link to one of their guided tours, and then you can further look into their documentation as well, which forms a great example. Natural language processing. We've already heard this from Ganesh. Chat GPT is based out of natural language processing. You can ask questions as a human being, and it kind of like understands what you're asking many times and then responds back. A great example of that, and I've already had this session, is Oxygen AI Positron plugin. You can install this plugin. It's paid now, and subscribe to it and then start playing with it. Then you have the collaborative platforms. These are interesting ones, and I'm actually exploring them a lot these days. It's more like asking your customer to contribute to your documentation. Oxygen does that great. They have this edit online feature where you just need to have an access to their just have a GitHub account. It takes you to that page, and then you can actually go ahead and edit this page online. Of course, it doesn't go live. There are writers who said, who are behind the screen who will evaluate your data, and then, based on what you've provided, if that kind of like makes sense, they'll go ahead and publish it. You also have, a comment section here on their page where you can actually add a comment and then track what's happening. So the writer also gets to see who's actually adding a comment and what's going on there. So that's again another collaborative. So you want to go there, engage your customers and get more details from them, well, go ahead and try doing that. Then finally, I have the accessibility features here. I'm not sure how many of you have actually heard, but I kind of like advocate accessibility because there are people who basically have different needs, and it is important that our information kind of like fits or at least help those individuals too. Barclays actually does an excellent job of bringing in accessibility to their help documentation and their website. And I've actually added a link here so you can go through it and see how that works. There are a couple of other links that I've added here, which I think will be great resources for you to go through and learn more about these shifting landscape and balancing act topic. Um, I don't know how many of you. I know it's gonna be, some time while you actually read it, but this is a list from my resume, and it kind of like lists down pretty much everything that I've encountered so far. And the list is, I mean, it's fine tuned, okay. But then the idea here is how do we adapt to this change, right? I mean, that's coming up. What do you need to do as technical communicator to basically be prepared, to basically understand? Now, all of this is great. I'm sharing something, Ganesh is, and the next presenter is definitely going to share something more interesting with AI. But how do we prepare ourselves? Now, the ask here is to basically develop your technical proficiency. Probably try and look into these programming languages, lightweight markup languages, and so on. It's again, not a must, but a good to have, skill set. And it is not just to what is mentioned here on the screen, but it can be more depending on the domain and the work that you're doing. But I feel like one should be prepared through these various changes. These different skill sets. Programming and scripting, user experience design is great. And to what I understand is TWT has been constantly trying to provide sessions on all of these topics in one way or other. You'll actually have some sessions on, I remember some session on user experience design, content strategy, and so on. So please continue to watch the TWT space for new sessions, because collaboration and communication and continuous learning is a critical piece for you to get into that change, to be prepared for that change. Finally, questions? If you have any, I'm sorry I did not look into the chat bot, the Teams chat, so I did not see any of your questions. But if I know I have a couple of minutes, hopefully, and I can answer one or two, but I'll definitely get back to you in case there are more.
Yeah,
Okay, looking at one question here from Amol as to how do you consider usage of videos in new landscape? Videos are great. So when I went to AI, there is a tool, Anime AI, and I said, "Hey, I have a session on this topic. Could you basically help me create a video?" And it did a fabulous job of creating it. Okay, and I've actually added it to my presentation. It's a 3-minute video. I don't know if I have time to basically play this now, but you can definitely leverage AI to get at least a video. It can actually put things together. Not that you can share it to public or make it production, but it at least gives you an idea. It at least gives you a stage where you can look at that video and see, oh, okay, this is good. I can probably try something with my corporate resources and put this video together. I can fine tune that text, and yes, you can actually do that. I think it's a paid tool. Since I have a premium membership, I was able to actually get this done. I had 10 credits, I believe. I believe they give 10 credits, so you could probably create 10 videos in the first place, and then you'll probably have to buy this. So yes, videos definitely, yes, they do help, and people love videos because they kind of like help them get through things done faster than reading.
Okay, may I ask one question
Sure, Pradeep.
if we don't have any other question? So, yes, the trends, AI, chat GPT, I mean, it's no more the current trend. It's already being there for more than a year now. So, Aman, primarily from your session, one question for others.
Hmm.
Okay, I'm not so good in AI. Fair enough.
Hmm. Hmm.
I'm scared of all these things. Can I
Hmm.
still survive as a technical writer?
Yes. Yes, you can. Because as a technical communicator, let's talk about technical communicator rather than a writer, because there are different terminologies used in market. As a technical communicator, and I mentioned before, 80% of your job, your bread and butter is writing. Okay. You know your domain better than ChatGPT. ChatGPT will need time to understand you. It is great. It is good. It is actually an helpful aid, but it definitely cannot replace humans, at least not anytime soon. So, yes, you can survive. You have time now. If you start now, you would definitely be able to leverage AI and be able to find your place in this, in this new world, and continue to move on. But it's up to you to decide, if you're ready to, take that step and move forward.
Certainly. Great. Thank you. That helps.
Sure.
Ravi, you're on mute.
Yeah, I hear someone is trying to talk. Okay. Uh, is anyone else any questions to ask to Aman?
I have a question.
Sure,
Yeah.
Preeti.
Uh, what if a person is from a non-technical background, like he's not having any programming language skills,
Hmm.
so can he or she survive?
Yes. Yes, he or she can definitely survive. There are a couple of links here in my in my presentation. One of them is really interesting. Now, I know that you've heard about chatbot from Ganesh, and he was talking about how you need a premium membership. But there is an article, an excellent one on Oxygen blog, which basically tells you how to use Google Dialogflow chatbot and your data content, to basically generate a chatbot, all by yourself. Now, this is all, the instructions are all here. You don't need Chat GPT to do this. You will be able to convert your information and run it and see it live. Of course, this is not connected to any AI, so it will only answer questions that you provided. But it's a good starting point. At least you would understand what a Chat GPT does, and you could probably, anyone can play with this instruction. You don't have to be technical to do this. Instructions are like self-explanatory. Go ahead, give it a try, and you will, at some point of time, you have to understand what a chatbot is, right? I mean, yes, you're not technical, but you'll have to have that understanding to continue to, survive further, because these will impact your life one way or other, sooner or later. So it's better we start working towards it. Take small steps now, like, learn, learn a markup language, put some time in learning Python. Yes, it's going to be, overwhelming, but take it slow. Take those small sessions in between, and understand what it does, right? Small programs, play with it just like you play a game, and then see, you will actually find it more exciting, and you will probably be more comfortable with these terms than than you're now, because as I said, it's all up to you. You have to take that step forward, and I think you should start doing it now if you haven't done that. But yes, you will definitely survive. Writers, communicators have their own core skill. I've seen some excellent writers who have defeated chat gpt in some of those assignments that I've been working on. So they did a better job than the chat gpt. Of course, chat gpt is learning, and so are human beings. So yeah, the replacement part is only when you do not take that step and you think, oh, I cannot do this. Well, someone else will do it for you. And if not a human, then ChatGPT.
Thank you.
Sure.
Uh, I think we're done with questions. Is anyone else there? Last question. Okay, someone Path saying, how would you use gamification in technical documents?
I have a great example here. The learning data example. Why don't you just go through it? It is technical. Learning about data is not theoretical. It is technical. There are a lot of elements and attributes that you need to learn through. So they're doing an excellent job of teaching you how to use data, while still playing games. So you should actually go through learning data by Scriptorium and see how technical information can be gamified.
Okay, great. So yeah, this is a really great session, and like once again, I understood from Aman in your presentations that we need to be upgrading ourselves and up our game. Like, yeah, we should. improve our knowledge and also keep ourselves engaged to the world, like whatever is coming, and apply it to the technical writing field, whichever domain we are. So once again, that's what I learned from your session, and today is the same, or uh, even more engaging. Yeah, so thank you, Aman, for the great session, and also can you share this presentation links?
I'll share the presentation with the
Yeah,
support email
yeah,
group. Yes, I will do
yeah,
that.
yeah.